head right. I'm on the scene, teach my people a couple things. We try and make more green.
Welcome back to Pure Beast Fitness, where I keep health and fitness simple. Today I'm going to be talking to y'all about carbs in general and what I feel would be the most ideal carbs, depending on what your journey is. And the reason why I want to talk about carbs is because I keep hearing people say that if you're trying to lose weight, you need to stay away from carbs. Or I guess they make carbs seem like carbs is bad and it's just across the board. I'm also going to talk about cream of wheat, and I'm going to compare it to oatmeal, instant oat. And that's only because I got asked about that at least 3 different people recently. They were asking me to compare them and which one I feel would be best for their journey. And their journey is specifically weight loss. Cool beans. So I'm going to talk about my carbs that I like first and compare them to y'all carbs, the processed carbs, and mine being of course the unprocessed carbs. So what I did was I went on my Net Diary, that's an app on the iOS, and I looked up the nutritional labels for different food. And I extracted the calories, the carbs, the sodium and potassium. And the reason I chose to extract those is because, of course, we know calories in, calories out. The more calories you consume, the higher chances of gaining weight. And sodium, I don't know if y'all know, but the higher the sodium intake is, the more weight you tend to put on. And potassium, you need that for, athletic performance. Potassium also regulates your bodily fluids, your water. So that being said, let's look at the first one, which is one of my favorite, breadfruits. So breadfruit have 103 calories. My apologies. The food labels that I'm going to be talking about is going to be divided. It's going to be per 100 gram of these different foods. So it's going to be the same mass across the board, 100 gram for each. So I'm going to talk about breadfruit. This is 100 grams of breadfruit. That's going to have 103 calories in it, 27 grams of carbs, 2 milligrams of sodium, 490 milligrams of potassium. Another one of my favorite is yam. So that's 116 calories. That's 27 grams of carbs, 8 milligrams of sodium, and 670 milligrams of potassium. And I'm going to compare that to, my friends say that they use pasta, a carb-loaded pasta for their journey so that they could power their workout. So pasta has per 100 milligrams, per 100 grams of pasta, you're getting 149 calories. You're getting 30 grams of carbs. You're getting 4 milligrams of sodium, and you're getting 96 milligrams of potassium. Another one of my friends told me is bagel. So every 100 grams of bagel, you're going to get 251 calories, 49 grams of carbs, 439 milligrams of sodium, and 165 milligrams of potassium. Hold on a sec. I know I'm talking about a lot of number. I just want to do one more. So let's look at wheat bread, right? Wheat bread has 314 calories. This is per 100 grams of wheat bread. It has 57 grams of carbs, 381 milligrams of sodium, and 345 milligrams of potassium, right? Whew. So if you've been keeping track of the numbers, right? If you look at my carbs, which is the unprocessed carbs, you would notice that it's lower in calories. All them weigh the same. It's lower in calories and it's higher in potassium. So what does that mean? Oh, it's also lower in sodium. Lower in calories, lower in sodium, and high in potassium. So because it's lower in calories, I have more leeway with the amount of it that I could actually eat. before I actually started taking an excess amount of calories. Because the sodium is also low, I have a lower chance of retaining water weight. And because the potassium is high, I'm going to be able to perform better, as well as basically regulate my body water. So I'm still going to retain less water just by having a higher amount of potassium in the food that I consume. Now, you look at the processed carbs, is going to be jacked load with sodium for obvious reason, for taste. It's going to be lower in potassium, and it's going to be higher in calories, right? So I created a little chart here to represent what I just said. The red is going to be the processed food. The gold is going to be the unprocessed food. You'll notice, of course, like I just said, higher calories are in the processed carb. The high sodium, again, is in the processed carb. The high potassium is going to be in the unprocessed carb. Now, I'm going to switch over to look at cream of wheat and cream of wheat and instant oat. So if you look at cream of wheat, it has 359 calories. Again, this is per 100 gram. It has 359 calories. It has 72 gram of carb. It has 7 milligrams of sodium and 151 milligrams of potassium. That's cream of wheat. Quaker oats, you have 375 calories. You have 60 grams of carb, 375 milligrams of sodium, and 375 milligrams of potassium. All right, so in terms of weight loss, the question that I was actually asked, if you're focused solely on calories, right, then it would appear that cream of wheat would be your best bet. Cream of wheat is lower in calories. It's not that crazy low. It's not that low. 359 is not far from 375. However, one of the reasons why I would go with the cream of wheat is because another thing that contributes to weight, again, is your water. Now, because the sodium is very low, you're talking 7 milligrams versus 375, you have a lower chance of retaining water if you're eating cream of wheat versus eating instant oat. In terms of getting enough potassium, as well as some other minerals to power your workout, the instant oat has 375. That's way higher than the cream of wheat. So if you're trying to power your workout, let's say you're just focusing on probably going to the gym, building muscles and stuff like that, you want something so that you can keep knocking out those reps consistently, then you'd be better off going with the instant oat. I would say you'd be better off going with the unprocessed carbs like me, like the tubers and stuff, but that's another story. Whether a carb is good or bad depends on your actual journey. Labeling them all bad across the board, I don't think that's accurate. I think, like the chart showed, if you was focused on weight loss, obviously you would go with the unprocessed carbs, right? If your focus is athletic performance, you would also go with the unprocessed carbs, because the unprocessed carbs is low in calories, and for your athletic performance, it's higher in potassium. If you're someone who's concerned, let's say, about your blood pressure or something, then obviously the unprocessed carb is the way to go, because it's way lower in sodium usually compared to the processed carb. If you're looking for a nutrient-dense food, obviously, again, you will go with the unprocessed carbs, because you notice the potassium in it, even though it's very low in calorie, the amount of potassium in it is actually higher than the amount of potassium you will get from processed carb. So if you're trying to reduce your calories, let's say you're trying to be in a caloric deficit and you're consuming processed carb, when you reduce your calories to, let's say, like match the same amount as an unprocessed carb, you're actually going to be depleting yourself, like comparing them across the board, you're actually going to be depleting yourself of nutrients. So yeah, your calories is low, but then you're essentially being malnourished in the process. Ugh. So you're being malnourished in the process. Versus if you was to eat unprocessed carbs, which is, whole food, whatever the case is, your calories would be low, but you're still getting the nutrients that you need for your body to survive, right? In fact, I think you gain way more than the amount of potassium you probably need daily if you would just switch to the unprocessed carbs. Now, if you're trying to gain weight, clear as daylight. If you don't care like the, what the long-term outcome would be of that, then going with processed carb would probably give you like the biggest bang for your buck, where you could gain weight fast because your calories just jack through the roof and stuff like that. Now, in terms of just going unprocessed, just because you're eating unprocessed food, that don't necessarily mean like you're going to get the benefit of eating unprocessed food. If you boil it, if you just bake it, if you just grill it, yeah. But if you're someone who's going to take the unprocessed food and you're going to add like all of these processed oil, or you're going to, let's say, fry it, and then you're going to add like this excessive amount of sodium, let's say table salt or cooking salt or these other seasonings that's loaded with sodium, then you basically just lost all the benefit of going over to unprocessed carbs. But also the other thing to look out for is younger people tend to process almost anything better. So I also know y'all follow these influencers. So if you're following somebody who's like in their teens, don't let these teenagers tell you that you can eat the same thing as them and end up with the same, let's say, physique as them. If you're someone like in your 30s, 40s, 50s, probably even your 60s, you have to eat way different. Somebody who's younger than you, this teenagers could eat sugar all day long. Like kids could eat sugar all day long and be skinny as a stick, all right? So kind of keep that in mind when you're following certain people online and they're giving you eating advice. Also, the last thing I want to say is if you're diabetic, scratch all of this and go to your doctor or your licensed nutritionist or whoever, and you seek advice from them.
Necessary chase ownership. In the paper is the thickness, keeping the ash off my fly fit, rocking jersey, cause I'm still ballin' with the G-Man T. Real clean out the pack as I chase the stack and flip it to make another stack. Loud in the pack, try split stack rounds going forever. I'm on the cloud flying, running my money up so more could come back to me. Things looking so pretty. I learned